investinmacedonia.com. www.inmacedonia.com. The future to connecting the world. Who is Hayden Russo? Featured in the Black Enterprise magazine, philanthropist, community activist, successful businessman, cheerleader. Find out who's Hayden Russo. Failure is not an option. Purchase available. Amazon.com. This is the Hayden Russo Show.
It's time to rewire your mind. Welcome to the Hayden Russo Show, the show that provides you with inspiration to help you succeed in life. Here's your host, Hayden Russo.
Yeah. I'm feeling that. I'm feeling it. We're back, we're live, and this is the Hayden Russo Show, and as you know, I love to say, hello there. I like how that there sound. Hello there. I really miss you guys. The feedback is phenomenal. The success and the things that are happening for me and how fast they're happening for me is just astonishing. 5 years ago, when I said I wanted to have a talk show, or when I said I wanted to write a book, make a movie, give back to society in some special uniform way that could only be done by Hayden Russo, I just began to take the baby little steps. I didn't try to say, okay, we're going to write the whole book. Well, now I did say I was going to write the book in 10 days. And everybody told me that was impossible. And I wasn't even able to get to the book to start writing for 12 days. Go figure. But taking the baby little steps and continuing to take baby little steps helps you along the way. So if you take anything from this show today, I would ask that you take those baby little steps. The small steps that you take on a daily basis to make you a better person. And be committed to doing one thing every week to make you a better person. You know, when I was growing up in a very poor environment, inside my household, you wouldn't know that we were that poor. My mother was always happy. My mother was always putting our minds in different places and spending quality time when we knew that right outside the door, gun violence, prostitution, drug activities were being conducted. My mother never gave in to her surroundings. She never became a victim to her surrounding. She didn't go outside, although they were literally right outside her door. Nothing we can do about it. She didn't go in and say, I want to be like them. She said she wanted to be who she wanted to be. And that's why I'm so strong, and that's why I'm so confident. Some may say, as I said before in other shows, why are you so cocky, Hayden Russo? I'm not cocky. Come live the life that I've lived and gone through the circumstances that I've been in, and then tell me that we were on the same playing field or had the same opportunities. But the only difference between me and you in the beginning, although your opportunities may be much more abundance than mine, but my tenacity and my workout and my vision and my determination to accomplish my goals, I will outwork you. When you go to sleep, I will continue to work. When you go out to eat and spend quality time with your family, I will shorten mine. And I'll continue to work because I'm determined to be better than you. I have nothing personal against anyone in this world, but my job is to outwork you. Nothing will be given to the ones that do not go and get it. It will not come to you. And if I don't have the confidence, how can I overcome my fears to move forward when I continue to fail, when life continue to give me all of the successful things that happen to me on the daily course, and Murphy Law comes and slap you and say hello? You have to have the courage. You have to have the will, and you have to have the focus to continue to move forward. And I don't care what tree it is. I don't care how big the tree is or what its circumference is. But if you take an axe and you go at a tree, you chop at it 5 times a day, eventually that tree will fall. Last week we got into finances. We was talking about finances. We were speaking on how important it is to begin the process of getting into your finances, and the importance of setting up 6 accounts, and why you have to start now and you can't wait for tomorrow. When I began to look at my finances, I got to tell you, I didn't like what I saw. I didn't like what I seen at all. You know, I was very disappointed in myself because, you know, I have no excuse to my family as an individual that has had businesses that has generated over $20 million. That I'm in no better position than you are in. Although I am experiencing success, if I was to get sick right now, I'm not prepared the way that I should be prepared, because I thought that everything was going to be in abundance. I thought everything would continue to come in, and I can understand why the athletes, when they retire within 5 years, they file bankruptcy. I filed bankruptcy for overspending. It's a disease. The money is coming in and it gives you a flow. It makes you feel like it's always going to come in this way. And then one day you wake up and you're broke. And that's what happened to me. And when I went broke, I didn't have any retirement plan. I didn't have a contingency plan. They say you should have one, enough money to carry your household for 3 months. If 2008 taught you anything, you need to have enough money to carry you for a year or 2 years for the ones that continue to save at it. So we must begin to understand the economics and the process of finances, and begin to take control of the finances within our household. I had a lot of people to tell me, "Oh, I don't have any money to save. We're scraping to get by. We're scraping the bottom of the bucket." Really? Every household in this country spends an average of $1,000 on lottery tickets. And ladies and gentlemen, once you begin to learn the success that you will get in this life with compounding interest, if you was to take that same $1,000 and invest it into a retirement plan, In 20 years from now, that $1,000 would be approximately in 40 years from now, it would be approximately $400,000. In 20 years from now, it'd be approximately $200,000. We have enough money to play the lottery, but yet we don't have enough money to put aside for our family. And Dave, if you would so kindly play this clip, I'll let you know when to cut it, please.
Course Economics, I'm Jacob Clifford.
And I'm Adrienne Hill. The world is full of inequality. There's racial inequality, gender inequality, health, education, political inequality, and of course, economic inequality. Some people are rich and some people are poor, and it can seem pretty impossible to fix.
Well, maybe not. So there are two main types of economic inequality: wealth inequality and income inequality. Wealth is accumulated assets minus liabilities. So it's the value of stuff like savings, pensions, real estate, and stocks. When we talk about wealth inequality, we're basically talking about how assets are distributed. Income is the new earnings that are constantly being added to that pile of wealth. So when we talk about income inequality, we're talking about how that new stuff is getting distributed. The point is, they're not the same. Let's go to the thought bubble.
Let's look at both types of inequality at the global level. Global wealth today is estimated at about $260 trillion and is not distributed equally. One study shows that North America and Europe, while they have less than 20% of the world's population, have 67% of the world's wealth. China, which has more people than North America and Europe combined, has only about 8% of the wealth. India and Africa together make up almost 30% of the population, but only share about 2% of the world's wealth. We're teaching economics, so we can focus on income inequality. These 10 people represent everyone on the planet, and they're lined up according to income. Poorest over here and richest over here. This group represents the poorest 20%. This is the second poorest 20%, the middle 20%, and so on. If we distributed $100 based on current income trends, this group would get about 83 of those dollars. The next richest group would get $10. The middle gets $4. The second poorest group would get $2. And the poorest 20% of humans would get $1. Branko Milanovic, an economist that specializes in inequality, explained all this by describing an economic Big Bang. At first, countries' incomes were all bunched together, but with the Industrial Revolution, the differences exploded. It pushed some countries forward onto the path to higher incomes, while others stayed where they had been for millennia. According to Milanovic, in 1820, the richest countries in the world, Great Britain and the Netherlands, were only 3 times richer than the poorest, like India and China. Today, the gap between the richest and poorest nations is like 100 to 1. The gaps are getting bigger and bigger. Thanks, Thought Bubble. The Industrial Revolution created a lot of inequality between countries, but today globalization and international trade are accelerating it. Most economists agree that globalization has helped the world's poorest people, but it's also helped the rich a lot more. Harvard economist Richard Freeman noted, "The triumph of globalization and market capitalism has improved living standards for billions, while concentrating billions among the few." So it's kind of a mixed bag. The very poor are doing a little better, but the very rich are now a lot richer than everybody else. There are other reasons inequality is growing. Economists point to something called skill-biased technological change. The jobs created in modernized economies are more technology-based, generally requiring new skills. Workers that have the education and skills to do those jobs thrive, while others are left behind. So in a way, technology has become a complement for skilled workers, but a replacement for many unskilled workers. The end result is an ever-widening gap between not just the poor and the rich, but also the poor and the working class. As economies develop and as manufacturing jobs move overseas, low-skill, low-pay, and high-skill, high-pay work are the only jobs left. People with few skills fall behind in terms of income. In the last 30 years in the U.S., the number of college-educated people living in poverty has doubled from 3% to 6%. which is bad. And then consider that during the same period of time, the number of people living in poverty with a high school degree has risen from 6% to a whopping 22%. Over the last 50 years, the salary of college graduates has continued to grow, while after adjusting for inflation, high school graduates' incomes have actually dropped. It's a good reason to stay in school. There are other reasons the income gap is widening. The reduced influence of unions, tax policies that favor the wealthy, and the fact that somehow it's okay for CEOs to make salaries many, many times greater than those of their employees. Also, race and gender and other forms of inequality can exacerbate income inequality.
Let's dive into the data for the United States. We'll start by mentioning Max Lorenz, who created a graph to show income inequality. Along the bottom, we have the percent of households from 0 to 100%. Along the side, we have the percent share of income. By the way, we're using households rather than just looking at individuals because many households have two income earners.
Dave, you can cut it, Dave.
Straight line.
Now, the reason that we have this clip is because we need to begin to understand that this gap between the rich and poor is not going to get any better. Because the way that compounding interest works, once you understand it and you have money, okay, you could take majority of the money that you have and you can put it into insurance. And the 3% or 4% that of return that you will have, you'll be able to live off of for the rest of your life. You're unable to spend it. Okay? And the jobs that are being lost, they're not coming back. Okay? So for the senior citizens that are greeting individuals at Walmart or working at Walmart or have a job, I'm saying to you that you need to go and learn these new skills in the technology, and learn computers and learn how they're functioning and how they're in it, and they're tying into the distribution of the world, and learn about this economy. Because once you learn about this economy, what you'll learn is that we need to seek opportunity that's in abundance, and that needs to be in other countries, and trading the assets and the resources from the United States to other countries, so that thereby we can begin to create more value for ourselves. Okay, and when we come back, we'll begin to speak on some of the things that we need to build on value. And then in the third section, we'll get to how we need to begin to save the money and how we need to distribute the money. We'll be back with more right after this.
This segment of the show was sponsored by Shakira Roll at ERA Home Run Real Estate. Buy, sell, or rent, I can help the entire world. Need assistance with down payment? No problem. Call Shakira Roll today at 561-312-2641 or email her at info@rollhome.com. That's info@rollehome.com. Visit her website at www.rollhome.com. That's www.rollehome.com.
If you would like to be a sponsor or advertiser on the show, call today at 561-723-6781. If there is a topic you would like to discuss on the show, call and inform us today at 561-723-6775. You can always reach me at Facebook at Hayden Rousseau. That's HYDNROUSSEAU. If you like what you're hearing from Hayden Rousseau, book him today. 561-723-6775. He has experience to deal with trouble use, successful businessman, excellent motivator. Whatever your problem, he has an answer. Give us a try. 561-723-6775. The House of Bling is here. Woo! Specializing in rhinestone apparel. Bling out your company logo, or team logo. Call today, 561-723-6781. Woo, they're ready. Get your bling, women, cheerleaders. Tell your coaches about the House of Bling. We're here for all custom apparel. Again, that phone number is 561-723-6781.
You're listening to the Hayden Russo Show on TalkZone.com. Here's Hayden Russo.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Okay. So now, look, we just went through some startling numbers. This thing is not going to get any better. Okay. Now, I'm very humble and I'm grateful, but in order for us to have an honest conversation, you have to know where I am. My retirement didn't start until last year. So when I went and I started looking at the numbers, I'm like, whoa. I'm like, it's going to take me till I get 81 years of age to be able to live the life that I want. And while I was making all of those, when I was making millions of dollars, you know, while me and my wife was having nice experiences, okay, we were doing what everyone else doing. We were making the money and we were spending the money as fast as we made it. Whether it's putting $30,000 down on a vehicle, or whether it was spending $20,000 here, or letting someone borrow $2,000 or $5,000 here. We just thought that this money was going to come forever. And we wasn't saving. And we stopped learning. Don't ever let yourself do that. Don't ever let yourself stop learning when you get caught in success and get caught up all in your own juices. Always remember you have to stay hungry. And when I started looking at the numbers, I started getting upset with myself. I went and said, sweetie, baby, or boo, you know, some of these things that I call my wife. It's going to take us till 77 years old to retire the way that I wanted to. Then when I add all the things that I want to, how I want to contribute and give back to society, I want to be able to give $60,000 a month back to the world, or maybe $1 million or $2 million during the course of every year, and find ways to contribute and give way more. I want to give everything that I earn back, which means that I have to earn is twice as much. So when I added that, the numbers went from 77 years of age to 81. I don't want to be 81 until I live the life that I want to live and don't have to concern myself with money, or be concerned about my energy costs, or car notes, or child care, or if your child is in sports, oh God, you need to buy stock in Nike, Sports Authority, and you're going to be spending your time and resources all over the place traveling. Now, how I was able to come up with those numbers, I was able to use this particular app, which you can download for free at www.tonyrobbins.com/master the game. We'll make sure that this is up on our site, so that you have the correct email address. And the book that I'm getting this information from is called 7 Simple Steps to Financial Freedom by Tony Robbins, Money Master the Game. You know, look, just like the jobs that are being shipped overseas are not coming back, if you don't begin to learn things, guess what? When bad times come, you'll be stuck. What are you going to do? Okay, it took for me for 2008 to come around, when the economy froze. that's when I began to realize, hey, you hadn't taken a seminar in 2 years. You haven't taken any classes or learned anything in 2 years. You haven't done anything but come to the office, watch TV, and go out and do estimates and run the company, but you've done nothing to advance the company into new opportunities, to learn and train your company. I made a lot of mistakes, and I'm hoping on the Hayden Russo show that you can learn from my mistakes and propel your life and skip some of the heartaches. Because once you begin to learn in life that your income is crucial. Let's take someone that's making $2,000 a year. Let's say that person has an apartment. It's a family of 3. That's $1,000 a month. Also, they need transportation. They need insurance. So they have a car note and insurance. That's $400 a month. That leaves $600. Out of that $600, $300 is for groceries, which leaves $300. And don't forget, don't you have to keep gas in to make it where you need to get to? That's $100 a month. And by the time you pay your light, your cell phone bill, and any other miscellaneous, and don't tell me you're not going to go out and have eat fast food somewhere. By the time you do all of that, you're left with $50. And we're talking the next segment about what you should do with those $50. Because in the $300, you need to make sure that you're making your sandwiches, or you're eating leftovers from the night before for your lunch at work. Because what we're going to do with those $50 is going to be phenomenal. We won't have to worry about what other people say. Oh, I can't save anything. I don't have anything. But you're wearing a $200 pair of shoes. Nikes, Air Jordans. Okay? Or you have a Louis Vuitton purse. Okay? Somehow we tend to find money for the things that we need to find money for. Huh. You know? So the question is what you should be asking yourself, okay? Because the brain will give you the answer, is how you double your income, how you triple your income. How can you make more money without working as hard as you're working right now? Take advantage of your opportunities and your skills and the knowledge or the resources that are available to you to help make yourself better. Take courses. Go to seminars. You know, it's so funny how people tend to tell me when they're on the job, right? Oh, I've been here for 15 years. And Mary, she just came. She's been here 2 years, and she's my boss. I trained her. Yeah, you sure did. You did train her. But let's start with you. Okay? Just because you have your college degree, ever since you came to this company, what have you done? Do you take any extra seminars? No, you're the boss, right? Do you go out on the seminars? No, you send someone else to represent the company, right? Okay. And if you're not a supervisor and you're a regular worker and you're in a position where you're under the supervisor and you train all of the newcomies, okay? And within the, when you first came to the job, everything you learned was within the first 90 days, and all you have done is taken that knowledge and used it for 20 years repetitively. You're not smarter. You're still operating from what you learned within the first 90 days of the job. So when you trained her, what you did was you sparked her. And all of the seminars that you didn't want to take, she took them. And when the boss said, is anyone want to volunteer for something? She volunteered. She read her manuals. She tried to find ways to make the company better. She gave herself, and by doing so, she became rewarded, because it's like the tree. If you cut it at it 5 times a day, the cut will begin to get larger. And if you continue to learn, and if you continue to find ways to make yourself more valuable, okay? When the pink slips come around, you think they're going to bother Mary? I don't think so. She's too valuable. Okay? Because she's not worried about what the boss can do for her. She is all over, how can I make my boss look better? What can I do to make my boss a success? And along the process, because she's hungry and she's a hunter, she becomes this superwoman along the way, where she feels invincible and she has unlimited power at her disposal. She's not sitting around learning and trying to multiply something she learned within the first 90 days. She's continuing that learning process. She's doing all of the hard things. She has 2 kids at home. She has a husband. Try that. Try having to come to work and then go home and then have to work more. Okay? Got to be a mother to the kids, and oh yeah, she still got to be a wife to the husband. Now, I don't welcome the job of a man, but I dang sure wouldn't want the job of a woman. And speaking of women, until we get equal opportunities out here, you still not getting an equal dollar. Me and you can have the same job and I get $1 and you get 80 cents. Are you serious? You have to work hard. You can't say, oh, I can't save. I don't have enough money. I can't do this or I can't do that because it's this fault. It's the economy fault. By the way, Donald Trump, keep doing what you're doing. It's Donald Trump's fault, because as soon as he becomes president, it's going to be his fault. And Donald Trump, Donald, take a good picture. Look at yourself. Okay. Look, color at your hair. Look at the texture of your skin. Because by the time you get out of the White House, buddy, you're going to be done. You're going to be cooked well. Your hair, you're going to have a lot of gray hairs. It never fails. You can go back and look at every single president. I don't know what the White House do to y'all, but hey. But getting back to my point. Doubling your income is crucial without making any excuses. And yeah, Miss Kelly, I jumped off subject. I'm getting back on focus, but I just had to punch. He had a wonderful night. Anyway, we must understand that just because you learn something in 3 months, don't make you a professional because the boss like you, okay? Yeah, the boss may like you now, but guess what? When you put the boss in a difficult situation, if another 2008 comes around and 2 jobs have to be cut, one is a no-brainer, but then the boss is left with you, her personal confidant, her secretary, her personal, a right-hand woman for 16 years versus Marie over there. She knows everything about every aspect of the company. She has 12 certificates from workshops that she's taken outside of the company. And she's well liked. So when the boss comes to you and say, I am sorry, don't say you're not. The boss is sorry that she has to tell you you had to go because the decision was difficult. You're her friend. But she must do what is best for the company to survive. So for you workers, especially the ones at the bank that's always texting, okay, you never find value in something until you're about to lose it. So I'm telling you now, If you don't want to improve yourself, you will find yourself on the unemployment line. And if you don't want to go and learn something new, the jobs will continue to be outsourced. So in the beginning segment, when I was telling you what I wanted to be 5 years ago, okay, I did something every single day to work towards those goals. But I continue to work on my goals. Every single day I did something to move myself forward. And if you saw me at a basketball game yelling and rooting and cheering for a kid, you'd be like, no, there's no way that he could be a successful businessman. But then when you have an experience with me as a businessman, you say, hey, I want you to do more business with me. So I'm able to live my life on my terms, which makes it more successful. Okay? I'm able to increase my net worth by making myself more valuable, because every single customer that I come into, I don't give them what they expect. I give them more than they expect. I wow them, because why? If I do not earn their business, I want them to remember me, and I want them to feel bad that they didn't give me the job. And I want them to say, hey, although I didn't give them the job, please try him. I believe he'll do you good. And they're for the rest of their life, they'll tell all their friends. I won when I do that. I'm giving myself back to the community. I'm giving myself back to the universe. And I'm telling you guys, the same way you went and got your college degree, the same practice, the same hard work that you put in, the dedication and what you went through to get to where you're going, you can learn a new skill by applying the same principles that you applied. But I'm going to tell you, first, you must have the focus. Second, first you must have the focus and know what you want, and write it out and never give up. Second, you got to have the will that no matter what happens to you, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how many failures you run into, that you will never give up, and that your will continue to move you forward and to propel you towards your goal. And remember, you can go back to earlier shows when I told you the space shuttle takes 80% of its consumption to get off the ground. But when it gets there, it fly thousands of miles and come back to the universe 20% of power. And then finally, you got to just have the courage. When your wife don't believe in you, you still got to love her. And you got to and show her that you're going to be successful. And when you buy the mansion, say, baby, do you still believe me now? Okay. You got to have the courage when you fail to say, I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm not going to give up on my dreams. Most dreams don't happen until you have failed so many different times, until you find a solution. You got to have the courage no matter what happens, no matter how bad it is, that you're going to continue to fight and move in a forward direction, because whatever that is destined for you, whatever dream that was given to you, it wasn't given to anyone else. It was given to you. And the only person that you need to be successful is the person in the mirror. If you would like to join this conversation, the phone lines are open. 888-463-6748. That's 888. Go for it. I got to give us a quick shout out to Lou Canales. He's an architect. If you have any architectural needs, you can contact Lou at 561-262-2587. Or you can email him at loucanales@aol.com. LOUCANALES @AOL.com. Guys, I'm pumped. I'm getting ready to tell you how we need to spend this money. I'm going to tell you how we need to break this money down. I'm going to tell you what we need to do. We'll be back with more right after this. Why replace your roof when you can repair it? Call Built Right Roofing today at 844-277-7663. That's 844-277-7663. Come and experience the Built Right way. at 844-277-7663. Car accident, dents or scratches? Has the Florida sun faded your ride? Call High Gloss Paint and Body. Their service is fast and reliable. High Gloss Auto Paint and Body will deal with your insurance company, taking all the load off your shoulders. I know what that can be like. Call them today, 561-508-4220. They're located on 2550 Winter Avenue, Suite A, West Palm Beach, Florida. You tell High Gloss that Hayden Russo sent you. Are you ready for your meeting next week with the sororities club? No, I want to be different. Me too. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to call Wearable Nelly. Who? Wearable Nelly. They got you covered. Sorority logos, promotional materials, handbags, uniforms, family reunion shirts, and under pressure, they'll deliver on time. Call them today. 561-293-6444. Or you can email them at wearablenalia@gmail.com. Hey, tell Rodney Russo that I sent you. That's 561-293-6444. If you like what you're hearing from Hayden Russo, book him today. 561-723-6775. He has experience to deal with trouble use, successful businessman, excellent motivator. Whatever your problem, he has an answer. Give us a try. 561-723-6775. The best pork barbecue, ribs, and chicken in the state of Florida. Don't believe it? Try it yourself. Call Bounce Back Barbecue at 561-307-4382. They also do catering. That's 561-307-4382. Man, I'm getting ready for First Friday. What? Man, look at your hair. Dude, go get a haircut. It's 8 o'clock. What do you mean 8 o'clock? You still have time. Go down to Headliners. They'll take care of you right away. 1523 West Blue Heron Boulevard, Riviera Beach, in the Imperial Plaza. If you get lost, give them a call. 561-429-4765. Go down to Headliners. Come experience a true haircut.
The talk of planet Earth. This is TalkZone.com. Internet talk radio. And now, more of the Hayden Russo Show on TalkZone.com. Back to Hayden Russo.
I gotta tell you, everything that we're doing this year is going to be big. The show is continuing to be a success. And I am very grateful to everything that's happening on this show. Last segment, we talked about increasing our value. I want to add to that. I want to say, for those that are serious about taking care of their family and creating an abundance of life so that we're not living under these $2,000 finances, the only way that you're going to be able to get more is to do more. The only way you're going to be more fulfilled is to be able to provide an abundance of life for your family, and the only way you're going to be able to do that is to increase your revenue at a substantial rate, and you cannot do that by working. And I'm not telling you to quit your job, but I'm telling you, the person that you want to be in the future, that if you took 45 minutes a day and you read about the person that you want to be in the future, that's equivalent to reading 52 books a year. If you did that every day. And if you did that for 3-4 years while you're still going through all of your daily life struggles today, you'll become successful, and you'll begin to generate more for yourself, and you'll begin to be more valuable to the people within your circle. And ultimately, you'll live the abundance of life that you're looking for. Okay? Now, last week we spoke about that you needed 6 bank accounts. Okay? You need one retirement account. You need an account for the wife. You need an account for the husband. You need an account for the child. You need a vacation fund and a stock market fund. Okay? Now, remember, we only had $50 left. All right? And if we have $50 left, the church gets $5. Okay? And then we have to allocate $16 to our retirement account. $4 to the wife account. $4 to the husband account. $4 to the child account. And this is based on a family of 3, husband, wife, and 1 child. $1 for the vacation fund and $2 for the stock market. Why did I break this down this way? Because we have 6 accounts. And we're taught to give 10% to the church and tithe and giving back to our community. And we'll talk about how this will grow and why this is important. But Dave, if you can get back into that clip, I greatly appreciate it.
By the way, we're using households rather than just looking at individuals because many households have 2 income earners. So this straight line right here represents perfect income equality. So every household earns the same income. And while perfect income equality might look nice on the surface, it's not really the goal. When different jobs have different incomes, people have an incentive to become a doctor or an entrepreneur or a YouTube star. You know, the job society really values. So this graph, called the Lorenz curve, helps visualize the depth of inequality. Now, for 2010, the U.S. Census Bureau found that the poorest 20% of Americans made 3.3% of the income, and the richest 20% made over 50% of the income. So that's pretty unequal. But has it always been like this? Well, in 1970, the bottom group earned 4.1% of the income, and the top earned 43.3%. By 1990, things were even less equal, so the 2010 numbers are just a continuation of the trend. And it isn't just the poorest group that's losing ground. Over those 40 years, each of the bottom groups, or 80% of households, earned smaller and smaller shares of the total income. Now, from the Lorenz curve, we can calculate the most commonly used measure of income inequality, the Gini index. Now, without jumping into too much of the math, it's basically the size of the gap between the equal distribution of income and the actual distribution. Now, 0 represents complete equality, and the 100 represents complete inequality. Now, you might be surprised to learn the U.S. doesn't have the highest income inequality, but it does have the highest among Western industrialized nations. The UK has the highest in the EU.
The debate over income inequality isn't about whether it exists. It obviously does. The fight is over whether it's a problem and what should be done about it. Let's start with those who don't think it's a big deal. They tell you that the data suggests that the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer, but that might not be the case. Instead, it could be that all the groups are making more money, but the richest share is just growing faster. Like, let's say you own an apple tree and we pick 10 apples. You keep 6 and give me 4. A week later, we pick 20 apples. You take 15 and give me 5. So my share of the total went down from 40% to 25%, but each of us still got more apples. So it's true that people in the lowest income bracket have earned a little more money in the last 40 years. But in the last 20 years, that average income has been falling. Meanwhile, the rich have continually gotten richer. So what's the richest guy on earth have to say about it? Bill Gates said, yes, some level of inequality is built into capitalism. It's inherent to the system. The question is, what level of inequality is acceptable? And when does inequality start doing more harm than good? There's a growing group of economists who believe income inequality in the U.S. today is doing more harm. They argue that greater income inequality is associated with a lot of problems. They point to studies that show countries with more inequality have more violence, drug abuse, and incarcerations. Income inequality also dilutes political equality, since the rich have a disproportionate say in what policies move forward, and the rich have an incentive to promote policies that benefit the rich. So how do we address this inequality? There's not a lot of agreement on this. Some argue that education is the key to reducing the gap. Basically, workers with more and better education tend to have the skills that earn higher income. Some economists push for an increased minimum wage, which we're going to talk about in another episode. There's even an argument that access to affordable, high-quality child care would go a long way. And some think government should do more to provide a social safety net, focus on getting more people to work, and adjust the tax code to redistribute income.
Some economists call for the government to increase income taxes and capital gains taxes on the rich. Income taxes in the U.S. are already somewhat progressive, which means that there are tax brackets that require...
Dave, you can go ahead and cut it. You can go ahead and cut it. Now, I stopped it at that part because 85% of the population will fall into the trap of depending on the government to do something for them. You don't want to be caught in that trap. You don't want to depend on a program. You ever look at a multimillionaire when he comes out? And for some of you guys that are buff and big, you look at, oh, I'm stronger than him. Oh, I got more muscle than him. But the reason that he has more money than you is because his mind is stronger. He exercises his mind. He continues to learn new things to help increase his value, not only to his family, to his work, to his co-workers, to the people that depend on him or her. He or she does the hard things now so that they can have an easier life down the road. In a marriage, no one should lose their right to be free. And a kid shouldn't have to begin to experience life challenges because of if he or she does their chores. And the reason that you have an account for the wife, the husband, and the child, and although it's $4 that's spread across the board, if they spend that $4, they have to deal with the consequences. Now, what you will find out of the three is one of them is going to continue to save those $4. And they're going to invest the $4 into a retirement account. And then they're going to make sure that they check off that they want the IRS to tax their profit as soon as it's made. Stop growing Uncle Sam interest rates and money with your money. What I mean by that is if you get into a traditional retirement account, which we're putting $16 in at this current rate, we would lose $8 of that to the tax man, and we will begin to multiply the interest for the tax man, or big brother as some would say, along the way of our retirement. But, okay, if you allow yourself to be taxed as soon as you make a profit, and you tax on that, all your profit as soon as it made, then guess what? When you begin to retire, you don't owe the tax man anything. You're multiplying your own money. So you need to check your retirement, and you need to make sure that you're checking the box that you want to be treated as a Roth. You're checking the box that you want to be taxed on your income that you make from any financial asset as soon as you make it. Please consult with your financial advisor or your consultant. And for those that can afford it, I recommend that you find yourself a fiduciary consultant, because they have no skin in the game at all. And the most important thing about having your own bank account, it gives you the right to do what you want to do, and it gives that child the right to do what they want to do. And they begin to learn, if they spend the $4, that they won't have any more money until the next check come in. Okay? That's teaching them life skills. and putting $1 in the vacation fund, it will begin to grow, and putting the $2 in the stock market. Remember why we're doing that. We're putting the $2 and we're allowing it to grow so that when the stock market drops again below 70%, or 50 to 70%, I'd like to get when it gets to closer to 70, okay, you go in the S&P 500 and you begin to buy a whole bunch of stocks. And imagine if you would have purchased all of the banks when they were down a couple dollars. Your money would have grown by 20 times. You cannot do that in any other place outside the stock market. But you have to begin to save your money and take control of your money. No matter how much it is, no matter how little it is, you have the advantage and power, because we're showing you the power of $50. And some of you guys can make it with $100 or can invest $200 a week. Whatever your finances are, you know what your finances are, and I need you to get a financial advisor, a fiduciary advisor, or to help you get a plan. And for those